It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmic Voice. Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmic Voice. This is Season 4, Episode 16. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
Hello.
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone. You hear how I did that? Chris Natalini. See, good. I put the emphasis and the dramatic pause. It's kind of like Shatner pause acting, but not so much. Chris Natalini. It's more like a boxing match type of thing. And I am Mick Michaels. See what I mean? It's kind of that, you know what I mean? I work on that. I do it in front of a mirror, even though no one sees us. But how are you, buddy? How are you?
I am doing okay, my brother. I am still fighting this cold, as we said in the last episode. But, we're moving along, baby. Moving along, again, getting into the summer months here. So everything is good, man. Cannot complain.
Just got to get out there and sweat it out.
That's what we've been doing, man. That's what we've been doing. Just was at the Gay Pride Festival over the weekend here in Philly outside. It was gorgeous, and I just kept thinking to myself, please just sweat this cough out. Just sweat it off, please. There was all these people, and it was warm, and the sun was out, and I was just like, God, please I can't get rid of the cough. The cough is the worst. I cannot get rid of the cough.
Yeah, the cough is always the lingering thing, isn't it? Even after, yeah.
Bro, it's awful, man. I have another friend of mine who's been sick, and he can't get rid of the cough either. It's just awful. It's just awful.
It's like spreading the disease.
It is, dude. It really is. It is.
That's terrible.
How about you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm busy. I'm staying busy.
You're busy.
If I'm not busy, I'm not sure what I would do. Well, I think I know what I would do. It's just not something I want to do. So not being busy is probably not a healthy thing long term for me. So I stay busy. I create little projects, both professionally and privately. And, I do things. I've been, with the weather breaking and all, I've been doing more around my house, which is a good thing. You get it all set up so then I don't have to do it the rest of the summer. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Take that time. Yep. I mean, we were fighting some rain there for a while, so every time I scheduled something, there was an issue. I couldn't get everything done that I wanted to. But you get a few warm days, couple good weekends, I can get everything done. That means July, August to me is, beginning of September. Before I have to do any fall work, you get the house ready for the winter like a big shut-in and, get it ready for Christmas. I'm already talking because I know we're recording this now, but we're less than a month away from Christmas in July.
Stop. Oh, it's...
And if all goes well, or at least what I think what the schedule looks like, we'll have some episodes during Christmas in July, like our couple final episodes. We may even have the grand finale episode of this season during Christmas in July, so we may have a celebration on our hands. Who knows? Who knows?
Are we going to do a Christmas show up here in the space station? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I already ordered a tree from Amazon, and apparently they have shipments, via space shuttle now as well. So it's going to work well for us. It's going to be good.
Great. Love it.
You know what I mean? Floating around with jingle and jangle.
Love it. Have we, so listen, before we move on, because I'm going to derail the show a little bit, because I like to do this kind of stuff to you.
Okay.
How, been watching Obi-Wan Kenobi there, buddy?
I have been watching Obi-Wan. And,
what do you think? Digging in or what?
I have mixed feelings about it, unfortunately. First, I want to put it out there. I am not one of those Star Wars fans that has something to complain about everything. And I don't have an issue when they take liberties or they're changing things. It's fine with me. I was never into the expanded universe type of stuff. So some things to me are new. Some things I am aware of. It's not like I'm a casual Star Wars fan, okay? But I've been a Star Wars fan from the very beginning, May 77. So I like it. I just wish that it was action-packed from start to finish, at least the first couple episodes that started, right? Now, again, by the time this airs, a few more episodes, and I think we'll be drawing close to the end. With only 6 episodes, you got to hit me, and you got to keep hitting me over and over again. I want that excitement. By the 3rd episode, I liked what they did once it kicked in, and I know there's been a lot of backlash about it, changing this, doing that, plot holes, whatever. Listen, I get all that. It's not my job to write it unless they're going to pay me, but I enjoyed that episode, and I'm hoping they keep that intensity and the flow of it. I like Ewan McGregor. It's every season should have.
He's a great Kenobi.
Yeah, he's a great actor. I mean, I enjoy most of his work, and they're hinting around to possibly 2nd season, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, listen, I go into it with the biggest of hopes. Like I'm a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid again, seeing it for the first time. I get pumped up. Not to give it away to anybody, because again, this will be already aired, or those episodes will already be aired. But hearing Darth Vader's voice, I got so jacked up. I mean, it was crystal. I go, oh my God, it's like Vader from Empire. Now I find out later that they did use a software program that copies the voice. So technically, James Earl Jones didn't do the voice, but he gets credited for it because it's his tone, his inflection.
It's his original voice.
It's his original voice. But it was all computerized, because if you compare that to Rogue One, it was much more weak, I'd say, in Rogue One.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, like, here's the thing, right? Like, to me, like, they're playing Darth Vader, and now mind you, when we're recording this, there's only been a few episodes. I know we keep saying that, but I just want to keep drilling that thought home. They're playing Vader as a bad mother trucker, man. Like, I was like, it just gave me chills when he showed up. Like, I literally was just, the hair on my arm stood up.
Yeah, well,
like,
you figure
this is
10 years
Darth
in,
Vader.
9-10 years in from his transformation. So he's 30, 31. I mean, he's a powerhouse.
Right. And he's mad. He's ticked off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's got, that's
so good.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day, thinking about, like, that kind of character. Does he like anything? Does he have conversations with it? Sometimes you watch movies and there's the villain, right? But every so often, then they'll throw in the human side of the villain. Maybe they like some other character. They have some kind of connection to some other character. But then, unfortunately, they wind up turning on that character. Or you don't see the real... You'll see the realism or the real character or the real human side of them. And then all of a sudden, the bad guy really takes form. But I was thinking about that for Vader. I realized that none of this is real. I'm a 50-some-year-old man discussing,
Stop
a made-up character. But, would Vader actually, could he sit down and just talk to somebody and go, hey, whatever? Or is everything with him the agenda, anger, and hate, and force choking? You know what I mean?
Are you saying Darth Vader needs a therapist? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, basically.
Maybe dig into that. There's past trauma feelings of being, left to die with no arms, no legs.
Yeah. You gotta let it go, buddy. You gotta let it go. Listen, one of the best things I just recently seen was that scene from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan and Anakin are doing that final battle where he gets... Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's the voices from SpongeBob. And it's awesome. So if you can find that video, just watch it. It's really cool. It really is cool.
I will definitely have to find that.
if you're a SpongeBob fan and Star Wars fan, you kind of mesh that together. That'd be great. All right. Enough derailing. Disney's not paying us anything for that stuff. So tonight's topic is... See my pause?
I do.
Okay.
That's very good.
Is music a commodity? If it is a commodity these days, where does that place the artist and their creation? Has music become just a commodity? Chris, tell us what you think.
Wow, man. This is a tough one because I know you and I have been, going back and forth with this topic for a while. And I was never really sure how to approach it. So I guess, is music a commodity? Well, that's a tough one. I don't know, man. I mean, could it be? I guess, I don't know, Mick. That's such a great question. how would you define music as being a commodity? Why don't we start there? Like what would you say would be the commodity of music itself?
Well, the tangibility to hear it, right? I mean, I guess that's one way of looking at it, or one way of putting it. It's just another product to sell, and whether it is tangible in terms of CD, vinyl, cassette, or online in a non-tangible format. But, tangibility is about feeling it, touching it, smelling it, that kind of thing. But, the digital world has changed all that. And the internet has become, it's a retail haven. So much so that, you've gotten the creation of digital currency.
Right.
Where in some circles, that means everything. I mean, at some point, it was funding businesses, upstart companies. Yeah. So it seems to me today is anything and everything is or can be a commodity. And I guess the concern is, how much does it cheapen? If there's a product that comes out and it's a smash, and people go crazy about it, within the first 3 to 6 months, there's a ton of knockoffs. Right. And then when the patent changes and allows everyone to kind of like create their own, usually happens a few years later, then the market's flooded with it. Some are cheap knockoffs, some are just as good, some get even better than the original. However, then the price drops. And it's just like, well, okay. And it's like that, as seen on TV type of thing.
Right.
Has music become that? So much so that it's not a primary concern. It's not even a secondary concern. It's somewhere down the line. It's just, oh yeah, okay. It's just almost like the soundtrack that's just playing in the back. Like, again, some bands at some venues are nothing but a live jukebox.
Right.
So has the music become such that it's devalued in such a way, especially, because you can get it for free, you can rip anything off anywhere online if you have enough software or know where to go. Because even if you go through a distribution package, let's just say, your music shows up on YouTube. And if you have ripping software, you rip it that way. And then you have a converter, and you make it a WAV or MP3 or whatever else. So there's so much of it out there. That's why there's so many artists that aren't making anything off of their music, anything worth anything. So in that regard, where does the product or the creation in terms of the artist, right, what they do, where does that leave it? How important is it besides being important to the artist? Now, again, I'm going to layer in that there are some artists that create that have absolutely no connection to what they do. They're doing it for a specific reason, not necessarily for an emotional reason. Right.
I think too, and I'm going to refer back to more of your bigger pop artists or rap artists that are currently on the charts today. I feel like a lot of that stuff is like, it almost ends up being more of a commercial, right? Like, these artists write these songs, or they have these songwriters, and then they make these big long form videos to be shown on, whatever video music channel there are out there. And it's a commercial. It's a big commercial for cars or perfumes, right? Like the sponsor spots, right? Like Beat headphones, or, you got all these big name logos dropped in to these music videos. And I go, well, is this a commercial for X car, or is it, a video for Z artist? Like, what is it? And it almost appears to be that sometimes it's more, the videos are more important about the sponsorships than it is actually about the song and the artist.
Well, that's true. So technically, the use of how we're using the word commodity, it's kind of like more of an umbrella term than what the actual definition is or was supposed to be, right? Commodities now, it's just something that you buy and sell that's made available. It's some type of product. And there's different levels of commodity. In my opinion, using that word devalues what music is for not only the person that's creating it, but for the people that listen to it, that aren't using it just as a background noise. Is it becomes such a thing that's just bought and sold that it's losing its meaning to both the artist and the listener at this point. like you had said before, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Is it appreciated anymore? Maybe that is music still appreciated. Does it hold that same value that it once did? Or did it ever really hold a value? I mean, there does seem like, let's go back to the late 60s. Music seemed to have a hold on our nation, especially as our nation here in the U.S. was going through a lot of turmoil. You know, civil upheaval, there was political, we were at war, there was all this stuff going on, fighting for rights, for men, women, children, you name it. It was all over the place, young, old.
So really nothing's changed.
Nothing's really changed. But it seemed like the music at that time reflected it so much, and it called to that generation, and they connected with it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Is that the same today? From my point of view, I don't think so. I don't see
Well, can we look at it like this? And not to interrupt you, Mick, I want to get this thought out before I forget. Could we look at it another way? Because right now in our time, these TikTok crazes, these little dance things that, the people do from songs, are artists trying to get something to make it go viral, right? Like, do they write stuff with going viral in mind?
Yes.
Maybe putting in your video, like you put a little dance move together and you hope it goes viral on the TikTok, and you have 1 million adults and young people doing this dance and it becomes a trend. So, are artists now writing material to try to be a trend and not actually being just a song that you hear on the radio? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Listen, they tell you with the TikTok thing is like create something that can go viral.
Right.
So you have to think have this promo for your song, but create something on top of it, because the song is not enough to capture. Right. And we talked about this before in a previous episode, I think last season, that the visual is what really grabs people, because the music doesn't anymore.
Right.
It's that 8-second engagement. It's even less than that, because I don't even know how long a TikTok video is. I know they run all different times.
Yeah, I think.
But at max, sure. Right? Like usually,
I think a minute might be max.
Yeah, so I mean, like within the first few seconds, if that video, whatever it is, hasn't grasped your attention, your focus, you're moving on. It doesn't matter what music's playing. Sometimes the music may just be a quick buzz, but then you're like, oh, okay, let me keep going. Oh, okay. Unless you're barely dressed, well-built, fantastic looking, or you're doing something completely outrageous that people are like, no, this can't be real.
Yeah.
The music alone just isn't going to do it, which is amazing to me when you think of the amount of subscribers that Spotify has, and it's primarily audio.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but people are not paying as if they were buying a CD at a time.
Right.
You pay a subscription. I don't have a Spotify thing, so I don't know. But I'm assuming just like the other streaming service, you pay a subscription, whether it's monthly, yearly, quarterly, however, and you pretty much get the keys to the castle.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
And every day, like we talked about last season, there's more and more being added.
Bro, it's I have a Spotify subscription, and it's mostly for podcasts. That's kind of what I really, really use Spotify for. It's the music on there is ridiculous. I mean, new release Friday, forget it. It's I don't even know how people even find songs sometimes, because there's just so much content and so much music.
Well, that's what I mean. Probably the average listener or user, Spotify user, probably just scratches the surface. It's kind of like the use of our mind, or 100%. The use of my cell phone. I barely even use 10% of its capability, because it just gets, at that point, it's too much for me.
It's Russ the Boss.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
Regardless, look, I think the truth of the matter is music is a commodity because it's bought and sold all the time. It's available whether you're paying for it, whether you're barely paying for it, or whether you're not paying for it. It's available. And commodity, at one point, I mean, one of the noun definitions of it is it's a useful or valuable thing, right? Which is kind of like, the opposite of what we're trying to use commodity here for. To me, it's still a useful and valuable thing because it pulls me out of certain mindsets or moods or, whatever. There is a soundtrack to my life because music has been involved in it since as far back as I can remember. And because I still work with it and, so to me it's very important. But you're struggling with the audience, an audience, to have that same feeling, that same relevance. And that's not necessarily the case because, not everybody is a creator, so to speak. Right. Apparently, I mean, there's more people who are listeners than there are creators.
Right.
I've heard this argument that when you reach a certain age, you become just a casual listener. The percentage gets, people don't go to shows. They don't buy new music. They don't buy merch. They don't go out for that, whatever, maybe once a year or maybe every couple years because as you get older, you're less inclined to do it. I'm not saying that's with everybody, but statistically, at one point, I remember I read this, it kind of was like, that's kind of what happens, right?
Yeah.
Life kicks in, or you get tired, or you have too much responsibility, or you have no interest in that. Your interest goes someplace else. It doesn't mean that you've stopped listening altogether, but you become what they call a casual listener because it's just kind of happening around you where you're at. You don't go out of your way for it. Where younger people may have less to do in terms of life responsibilities or music is their thing. And, again, why do you think that they push artists who are young to a certain age? I mean, you reach 30, you're already, when Elvis made his comeback, he was, 30, I don't know what he was, 31, 36, somewhere. Like that. And he was already considered washed up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, that's just kind of the way it goes. We have seen, resurgence with people, but you're always competing with that new, younger, fresher, faster, better, whatever. Like you said, it's just about creating that next hit. Today's terms, getting that next viral something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Listen, when we were young, we didn't want anything viral because the medicine for it was just as bad, if not worse, for the problem. So, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think, too, with your statistic, like you were saying, and I think, too, the older acts, that are kind of from our era, and I only say this now because I know everybody's been in the news, like your Kiss and your Bon Jovi and stuff like that. Like you're seeing these guys tour and they're really not putting out new music. And when they do put out new music, how many people buy it? You know what I mean? Like going to see Bon Jovi, you may see him in an arena of, let's just say 22,000 people. How many of those people bought his new record compared to how many people are just going to see him because he's Bon Jovi and they want to hear Living on a Prayer and Bad Medicine and stuff like that. So, I mean, I know it's easy to say when it comes to the older artists, but like you were saying, because as your statistic read, as people get older, they don't really rely on music as much as, some of us do.
Right. Here's something else I'll throw out at you, right? What is the difference between a commodity and a product? Well, according to definitions here on Google, a commodity is a product that cannot be differentiated. Therefore, it's sold at the same price universally. So that almost kind of describes music. However, a product can be differentiated so that the value can be added and can therefore be branded and marketed to be sold at different prices depending on the differences in quality. Now, you could say that about music as well, but in my opinion, that only pertains to those who are already at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Right? But they do use a lot of the same terminology that you would want. You want the branding and you want to give value and the quality and stuff, right? So is that the problem? Is that why music today is more of a commodity? Because it's lost that quality. It's lost that ability to be marketed in such a unique way that it stands out from all the others. or it can't be matched. But nowadays, like you've said this before, you've talked about it, like say with death metal, you'll have 5 bands on a bill and they almost all sound the same.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know. And when I'm not picking on death metal, I'm just using what we used before as an example. But you could say that about pop.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could say it about rap. You could say it about country. You could say it about any of the genres. Because anything different than that norm is sometimes hard to break in.
Yeah.
Right? Unless someone at the top does it. And then all of a sudden, everybody's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're drinking on this side of the lake today? All right, let's go. It's a lot of different stuff. So, I mean, product is a tough word, too, because in a sense, like, it's like, well, it's just something else I created, and then I put it on a shelf, and then I create it and put it on a shelf. I mean, essentially, yes, that's what we're doing with music. You create an album, you do everything you can for that album, and then you start on a new one.
Yeah.
You are listening to The Cosmic Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
We could be chasing our tails on this topic, number one. We could be looking at it like, hey, this is the truth. It's always been like this.
Yeah.
And we're living in some Camelot fantasy world waiting for the Knights of the Round Table and Chivalry to take over and say, someone has to come and champion the artist.
Right.
And that person is Chris Natalini. Again, I don't know, but I do think whether it is a commodity, whether it isn't a commodity, whether it's a product or not a product, I do think there has been some devalue to it. Why buy an album when you can pick up a song for 99 cents? I've seen it cheaper than that, too. Or free song Friday, or we're not charging this or that. Or now you see a lot, like if you're running through Facebook, you'll see, get this CD for free. Just click on the link, maybe pay $2 shipping, and get our CD for free. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that for whatever reason, if they like that band or whatever. And that's an easy way for bands to, because again, if you think about it, because the cost of production for a lot of things, especially in CDs, has come down, and if they're doing bulk shipping or whatever the case may be, it probably all balances out. I don't know if they're making millions, but they're getting their album out there. They'll still be considered sales of units at some point. Oh, yeah, we moved through 1,000 of them, or we moved through, whatever. We've done several printings of them, and there's all different ways of doing that. And these are bands that may not be playing out. They may not be touring. They may not be involved in anything where they have to sell merch to a live audience. But this is a way to get your music out there and to create a buzz so that when you do decide that, we're going to go somewhere or do something in a live arena setting, that they've already created, again, it's just another way of, it's a good marketing tool, but it's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
And if you've seen any of those ads and videos that accompany it, and I'll look at them because they're good studies. You can easily tell that these aren't, this isn't just a garage band from Main Street somewhere.
Right.
I mean, there's a financial backing that's making this stuff look as, I'm going to use this bad word, authentic as possible. I'm not saying that they're not authentic. They're real bands. They're real people, doing this stuff. But, you know what I mean? Like, it takes just a regular band and it just puts them on this bigger pedestal to make it look like it's more than what it is. That may not be the case for everybody, but again, it's just selling a product. It's another commodity because in another 6 months, it may be something else.
Right.
But I do think there has been some devalue. I mean, I think ever since you can be able to get stuff free. Listen, you and I did mixtape swapping when we were kids. We all did cassette tapes. It was all that kind of stuff. You lent your friend the album, they copied or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, those same things, I wound up buying, I would think 90% of those albums that I would get little mixtapes here or there for. Because one, like you wanted to actually have the authentic thing.
Yeah.
So that you knew it was genuine. Because, again, you liked the artwork. You wanted to read stuff. You wanted to... There was just something about it, what my wife used to do is they would buy the album, like the vinyl, or the cassette, the real one, and then they would make their own copy of it, so they wouldn't ruin the vinyl.
Sure.
So you know what I mean, or
Yep.
the cassette.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I didn't do that because I could barely afford to buy the original cassette. It took me forever to save. So buying but I would wear those tapes out, and you even to today. But
Definitely.
music is so oversaturated. The artists are lost in the shuffle, and it's just a matter of scrolling through an endless list of stuff and really just kind of being overlooked unless you know exactly what you're looking for. The number of people, the percentage, what that is, I don't know, but I'm going to venture to say it's probably less than 5%, maybe even less than 3% of a demographic that goes out and just not haphazardly searches for music, but just kind of lets anything happen and goes through this rabbit hole. I don't think that the casual listener and or audience member does that. That's why most bands go completely unnoticed, unknown. So I don't know, bud. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, unfortunately, I think that's the one thing about the genre you and I are in. And I could just be, waving the flag. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but, I'm just a big believer in the kind of music that we do. I think a lot of, I'm trying to think how to put it. Like, we don't really, when I say we, I mean metal. Not a lot of us fall under that category, right? I feel that a lot of your bigger names fall into that category. Like I said earlier, doing commercials and going viral. And I mean, listen, we all would love our song to go viral. I mean, let's be honest here, but I can look at Spotify on Friday and I can look at the new music Fridays that comes out and I go, there are a lot of metal acts that I go, I don't know who these people are, but I look at the pop and the rap and I go, who are these people? Like, I literally feel like someone just sits at home, records a song on their Casio, gets a really, weird spelling name, and then puts it out there, and it ends up, on Spotify's new music list on Friday. Like, it's crazy to me how many artists are out there, and they literally are only putting out one song, and that's it. It's just crazy. So, when you say that you feel that, music is devalued, there are bits of me that go, yeah, I think there's certain genres that definitely are devalued, and it really is just looking for that viral moment. A lot of that stuff I don't feel is, in my opinion, I don't think there's any thought in it. I think it's just quick beats and some, bad words, and it gets released, and you're just looking for another outlet instead of, doing the kind of stuff that, say, us hard rock and heavy metal guys do.
I would agree with you, and not to get us into trouble or to, kind of create stereotypes or anything of that nature. I definitely believe that, especially in this cancel culture type of world that we're living in, where, everybody has to have their flagship of whatever, that certain genres are definitely pushed to the top so everyone looks like they're in vogue today with the social climate or the social belief or whatever. And listen, to each his own, whatever. We're not here to talk about that. But I definitely believe that rock and metal has definitely been stifled, pushed down, maybe even overlooked. Is rock dead? I don't know. Has it been pushed around and shoved around? Yeah, because maybe it's not in vogue the same way as it once was. And that's not because listeners or those that were dedicated fans to that genre have stopped listening. It's not like all of a sudden you decide to go, all right, I'm done with it now, I'm going to move on to something else. It usually doesn't happen like that. You usually add to it, like you'll add genres. Oh, yeah, I never really gave that genre a thing. Or you find someone that does it a little differently, and then it takes you down a path of experiencing other artists. But it's not like you stop listening to this kind of music and say, I'm never going to listen to it again. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I'm sure that for the most part, I mean, I've been listening to metal for as long as I can remember, but I've also listened to pop for as long as I can remember, and I still do.
Yeah.
There are certain things I'm not really interested in listening, and I've heard a lot of it. It's not like I've just said, no, I'm never listening. Yeah, you give it. Yeah, you try it out. Nah, I just don't. To this day, don't get it. Don't get the idea.
Mick, I can tell you this, and this is for a fact. And if anybody that's listening to the show, and you are a Spotify subscriber, and I'm wrong or I'm right, please contact us and let us know. It was only a number of years ago, less than a handful, that Spotify said hard rock heavy metal was the most downloaded genre of music on their streaming service.
I remember that.
I can tell you for a fact, dude, that they have buried hard rock and heavy metal. I can tell you for a fact. And I know, and I'm sorry, I keep repeating myself, but I feel like it's important when it comes to the New Music Friday. I used to see, and what they do is, if you're not familiar with Spotify, what they do is they give you genres. They'll go, hey, new hip hop Friday, new metal Friday, new country Friday, whatever. I used to be able, like on my home screen, it would say new heavy metal. Now I have to physically go and search for new heavy metal, and it's not easy. But New Music Friday and new pop Friday and new country Friday on my home screen every Friday. I really believe they have buried the rock and heavy metal. I really, truly, truly do.
I would agree. Like I said, I'm not a Spotify user, but I would agree because I've seen it in other formats the same way. Again, the whole gist of this is it's about the artist and the music, regardless of the genre, but that you and I are particularly involved in the metal, it makes what we do even harder, and it adds an extra challenge to us just trying to get some awareness. And it makes it, but in the sea of endless scrolling of music, it's literally like trying to swim uphill. Straight uphill.
It is, and because the last thing I want is for any kind of music to be devalued, right? I mean, we've always lived in that. One band hits it big, and then there's a million other bands. But I mean, that's just the way the business has always been. But in 2022, like it makes me sad that music of any genre can be and is being used as a devalue, where it isn't treated with respect and a good value to it. Where it's looked at as meh. In
a time in a society when we have unbelievable amounts of freedom in what we could do and choose to watch and listen to and stuff, we are still herded like cattle to follow suit, right? So if rock and metal have been pushed out of view, you only have a small percentage that are still looking for it, where the rest of them are just following what's been shown to them, even though they have the choice to do whatever they want. So in some sense, it is the audience, it's by the choices they make, and in some sense, it's within the industry as they show or make available or create an awareness or a focus to what they want to achieve, demonstrate.
I agree. I
make
agree
available. So it goes hand in hand. However, at the end of the day, because it is a product, it is a commodity, it's something that you buy and sell, if the audience would choose to do one over the other and not follow the herding, they would sooner or later have to change the standard or their methods. That's my opinion, right?
Yeah, agree.
The U.S. is, government for the people, by the people, right? But so is everything else.
Yeah.
Because we're the ones who are paying for it. Unfortunately, it's their job on the other side to market it and campaign it in a way so that they can funnel you into exactly what they want. And I get it. That's good business. That's exactly what all the artists are trying to do. They're trying to funnel in their audience. And I get that. I understand it. A lot of times during the show, I play both sides so that you could see it. Not everything is just, it's just not black and white. There's so much gray to it.
Right. Well, we try to be fair.
Yeah, you can't be like, I mean, I don't have a problem with capitalism. I don't have a problem with big business. I don't have a problem with people trying to make a living. I don't have a problem with people making money. And unfortunately, some people are going to always make more money than other people. Yep. Some things are going to work, and you question, like, I don't understand why that works or why people are interested. It's sometimes not about the product or it's even about the music or the artist. It's about the way they were presented and what that presentation has created in the minds and hearts of the audience, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People have watched television shows and go, I don't understand why that television show is working. But it's a huge success. And in reruns and years later, it's still a huge success. And you're still like, I don't get it. And then other things that you like, you're like, well, I don't get why nobody's getting it. You know, so it's you know, I mean that's kind of the thing of being human, right? Like we all have that. Yeah. There's that freedom of that, but so I don't know. It's a tough call. I think if there is a concern, and for me there is, like I've told my band members, and I've talked to other people that I've worked with that may have expressed a concern as we're writing or whatever. I said, look, if you believe and feel what you're doing is important, then that's all there's to it. You can't expect other people to do the same thing. But if you don't present what you do as important, you're never going to get anyone to even give you the time of day.
Right.
That's the idea. Because if you don't find it important what you do, that you're making a difference in some capacity, why bother doing it? Go do something else that you want to do. And it may not be music. But if you feel what you're doing and you're doing a good job of it, in your opinion, and again, like in some of the other episodes we've talked, if you're honest with yourself, you'll be honest with yourself. You go, maybe I could give a little bit more here, or I need to do this, I need to do that. And music, just like a lot of other things, there's a challenge to it. It should grow as you grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It should define and refine and be defined again and more refining and all this kind of stuff. And that's the only way it will stay with a value, is if you have some type of connection to it and you believe in what you're doing. Whether it hits the charts, you make millions or you don't, or again, that's the idea of the artist. And there's been painters that their work did not become successful until after their deaths, years later. Whether the culture changes, the political tone changes, or somebody of influence, because again, we use them today, right? People pay influencers, that's a big word now, a buzzword, I'm doing the quotes, to get people who may not know or aren't aware of to pay attention. Again, there's that funneling system, right? Mm-hmm. And statistically now, I just seen this just a few months ago. I watched a whole video on it, and then I read an article on it, that a lot of the influencers who we think are actual real people are not. They're bots. They're programmed things. It's amazing. I actually even read, this is kind of going someplace else, that 65-70% of the internet and the interactions that people have with they think is another person isn't really another person, but it's a bot of some sort. A lot of websites are generated. A lot of the writing, you can tell sometimes the vocabulary is just, the sentence structure, it's kind of off, weird a little bit, but it's bot produced in a way. I don't know, man. It's just it's crazy. So, who knows? Maybe it'll change again. Maybe rock and metal will come back up. I don't know. It doesn't look that way, in my opinion, depending on where you're at. And again, we're taking it from a U.S. view, and we've talked about this before. When I was in the U.K. and when I was in Europe, rock and metal still seemed to have a good, following, a good audience. But so did all the other genres. There was almost an equality. Where here in the States, maybe even in North America to some degree, the equality does not hang that way. Because it is, in my opinion, it's a commodity where the price is universally low. Which, universally, the price for music is free, isn't it? Think about it.
Pretty much. I mean,
artists have even been forced over the last 15 years with the rise of the internet to give their music away just to build an audience. There's marketing campaigns and there's classes in universities and online courses that will tell you, give some of your music away. What? Just because Trent Reznor did it, we should do it? Well, he did it long after the fact that, he made his money.
Yep.
And again, you're trying to work a model that someone at a different echelon, a different plateau in that industry got to work. Not going to be the same for the guy at the very bottom. You're at the bottom for a reason. Whether you just started or you can never get to the next rung. There's a reason. And those reasons could be, I mean, we could talk about them in another episode. I don't know, Bud, you got anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so, man. I think that's it.
I think that's it, too. Listen, believe in what you're doing. If it's important to you, that's all that's important.
It's all that matters. It's all that matters.
If you like that, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmicvoice.com. Step into the Cosmic Verse and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
Okay, folks, that will do it for another episode of The Cosmic Voice. Mick and I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to The Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.